The grand chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of polished stone. Representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated sections, each breathing different atmospheres contained by shimmering force fields. At the center platform stood Commander Veltok, his 4 arms crossed over a chest that had deflected plasma fire from entire battalions. His silver armor bore the marks of 300 victories. "The humans refuse to answer our summons," Veltok announced. His voice carried through translation matrices to every corner of the chamber. "They build on worlds we have claimed. They ignore our messages. They show no respect to this council." Daejung sat in the human section. A simple chair in a simple bubble. He wore a plain gray suit. His briefcase rested on his lap. He looked like someone who might sell insurance or teach mathematics. When the translation ended, he stood slowly. "We answered," Daejung said. "I am here, one diplomat." Veltok's laugh rumbled like thunder. "Your species occupies 17 worlds in contested space. You have been asked to present your military leaders, your commanders, your strongest representatives. Instead, you send this." He gestured dismissively at Daejung. "I am sufficient," Daejung replied. The council chamber erupted in clicking, buzzing, and whistling, the sounds of 47 species expressing amusement or contempt. Veltok raised one hand for silence. "Then hear my declaration. I will travel to your colony world, the one you call New Busan. I will demonstrate why the Catharan Empire is not to be ignored. If your leaders wish to prevent this, they may surrender control of all contested worlds immediately." Daejung checked his watch, an old-fashioned mechanical one. "When will you arrive?" "My fleet departs within the hour. We will reach New Busan in 6 days. I will inform the administrator." Daejung sat down and opened his briefcase. He pulled out a sandwich wrapped in paper and began eating his lunch. Veltok stared at him for a long moment. Then he turned and walked out of the chamber. His 4 arms swung with barely contained violence. The council members whispered among themselves. This human showed either incredible bravery or incredible stupidity. Most assumed the latter. 6 days later, Veltok's fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel above New Busan. 50 warships, each capable of cracking a planet's crust. Veltok stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the green and blue world rotate below. "Scan for defensive platforms," he ordered. "None detected, Commander. No orbital weapons. No planetary shields. Minimal satellite network." Veltok frowned. "Population centers? 1 major city. Approximately 2 million inhabitants. Several smaller settlements. They are not evacuating." "Not evacuating?" Veltok leaned forward. "Are they fools?" "Unclear, Commander. We are receiving a transmission." A hologram appeared. A man in simple clothes stood in what appeared to be an ordinary office. Behind him, through a window, a city continued its normal business. Vehicles moved on streets. Lights blinked in buildings. "Commander Veltok," the man said. "I am Hyun-woo, administrator of New Busan. Welcome to our world. I am not here for welcomes. I am here to demonstrate the price of defiance." "I understand," Hyun-woo said. His face showed no fear. "Would you be willing to discuss terms first? Perhaps we can resolve this peacefully." "There is nothing to discuss. Your species will acknowledge the Council's authority, or face consequences. Then come down and deliver your message in person. I will meet you at the Central Administration Building. Coordinates are being sent to your ship now." Veltok's tactical officer made a warning gesture. "Commander, this could be a trap." "A trap?" Veltok laughed. "I have survived assassination attempts by the Void Reapers. I have walked through burning cities, while armies fired upon me. These humans have no weapons that can harm me." He touched the medallion on his chest, a personal shield generator that could withstand anything short of a tactical nuclear weapon. "I will go alone," Veltok declared. His officers objected, but Veltok silenced them with a gesture. He boarded a small shuttle and descended through the atmosphere. The city grew larger in his view screen. It looked like any other colony functional buildings, organized streets, nothing impressive. As he landed in a designated area, he saw humans walking nearby. They glanced at his shuttle with curiosity, but not fear. Some continued talking on communication devices. Others carried bags of supplies. This disturbed Veltok more than weapons would have. These people saw his warship in orbit and did not care. Hyunwoo waited at the building entrance. He wore the same simple clothes from the transmission. No armor, no weapons, no guards. "Thank you for coming," Hyunwoo said. He extended his hand in the human greeting gesture. Veltok ignored it. "Where are your defenders? Your soldiers?" "We prefer conversation to conflict," Hyunwoo said. "Come inside. We can talk. There is nothing to say. Your people will submit, or, please," Hyunwoo interrupted gently. "Just come inside. 5 minutes of your time. Then you can do whatever you came to do." Something in the human's voice made Veltok pause. It was not pleading. It was not fear. It was something else. Something that reminded Veltok of how his grandmother had spoken to him when he was young, before his military training. 5 minutes, Veltok agreed. They walked through the door together. The building looked ordinary inside offices with desks, people working on computers, someone laughing at a joke. Hyunwoo led him down a hallway to a conference room. "Please sit," Hyunwoo said. Veltok sat. The chair seemed too small for his frame but held his weight. Hyunwoo sat across from him. "Now," Hyunwoo said, "let me show you something." He pressed a button on the table. The lights changed. And then, the transmission from Veltok's shuttle ended. His fleet waited. Hours passed. Then days. They sent messages. No response. They sent drones to the building. The drones stopped transmitting when they got within 100 meters. After 3 days, the fleet captain made the decision to retreat. Commander Veltok, who had conquered 12 rebellions and survived 300 battles, was gone. In the council chambers, Dae-jung received the news. He closed his briefcase and prepared to leave. "What happened to him?" demanded the council speaker. Dae-jung looked back over his shoulder. "He is somewhere safe now," he said. "Safer than he has ever been." Then he walked out, leaving 47 species to wonder what that meant. Yus's Pra floated in the meditation chamber aboard her vessel. Her physical form was barely visible, mostly energy, with traces of matter holding her consciousness together. For 800 years, she had served the Galactic Council as their greatest finder of lost things. Lost ships, lost people, lost secrets. Her mind could stretch across star systems, touching the thoughts of billions, sifting through mental patterns like others might sort through data files. She had never failed. Not once in 8 centuries. Now the Council had given her the task of finding Commander Veltok. The Catharan warrior had been missing for 6 months. His fleet reported that he had gone to meet the human administrator and simply vanished. No trace, no body, no evidence of violence. Yispra had begun her search from the fleet's last position above New Busan. She extended her consciousness across the planet. 2 million human minds, each one burning with thoughts and emotions and memories. She filtered through them like water through sand, searching for any trace of Veltok's distinctive mental signature. The aggressive confidence, the warrior's pride, the particular flavor of Catharan neural patterns. Nothing. She searched deeper. Sometimes minds left echoes in places they had been. Psychic residue that could persist for years. She found the building where Veltok had gone. Found the room. Found the chair where he had sat. And there, finally, a trace. So faint, she almost missed it. A thread of Veltok's consciousness, leading away from New Busan, like a path through space. She followed it through the darkness, between stars. It led toward the center of human territory. It led to Earth itself. Yispra's vessel entered Earth's system a week later. The planet looked unremarkable. Blue and green and white. Ships came and went in steady traffic patterns. Satellites orbited in organized layers. Everything appeared completely normal. She sent a message to the planetary authorities, requesting permission to land. She explained her purpose. She was searching for the missing commander. She meant no harm. She simply wanted to understand what had happened. The response came within an hour. A landing permit for Seoul, one of Earth's major cities, and a message: someone will meet you at the spaceport. Yispra descended through the atmosphere in her small personal craft. The city spread below her, millions of buildings, millions of people, millions of minds, all blazing with ordinary thoughts. Grocery lists, work schedules, conversations with friends, romance, and boredom, and ambition, and contentment. Nothing unusual. Nothing hidden. That was what disturbed her. In 800 years of reading minds, Yispra had learned that every species hid something. Secret thoughts, private fears, buried memories. But these humans felt open, completely, utterly ordinary. She landed at the designated platform. A woman waited there, dressed in casual clothes, a simple jacket, and pants. She held a bag over one shoulder and smiled as Yispra's form materialized outside the craft. "Hello," the woman said. "My name is G1. I teach literature at the university here. I have been asked to show you around. You are not a government official?" Yispra's voice resonated in the air without need for vocal cords. "No. Just a regular person. We thought you would be more comfortable with that." G1 gestured toward a waiting vehicle. "Please. I know a good place where we can talk." Yispra followed her into the vehicle. As they drove through the city, she observed everything. The buildings looked functional, but not impressive. People walked on sidewalks, talking to each other or looking at personal devices. Shops sold food and clothes and electronics. Everything was so mundane. "You seem disappointed," G1 said. "I am confused," Yispra admitted. "I expected something different." "What did you expect?" "I do not know. Something to explain how you made a Catharan commander disappear." G1 smiled softly. "We did not make him disappear. We gave him somewhere to go." They arrived at a small cafe. G1 ordered tea. Yispra did not eat or drink in the traditional sense, but she appreciated the gesture. They sat at an outdoor table. Around them, other people talked and laughed. A child ran past, chasing a ball. An old man read a newspaper. "I can sense his trace," Yispra said. "Commander Veltok was here. On Earth. The trail leads to this city." "Yes," G1 agreed. "He came here, briefly. Where did he go after?" "Somewhere better." G1 sipped her tea. "May I ask you something? In your 800 years, have you been happy?" The question surprised Yispra. "Happiness is not my purpose. I serve." "That is not an answer." Yispra was silent for a moment. She reached out with her mind, gently, trying to read G1's surface thoughts. What she found shocked her. This woman's mind was exactly what it appeared to be. A teacher. Someone who cared about her students. Someone who enjoyed poetry and long walks and conversations with friends. There was no deception. No hidden depths. No secrets. It terrified Yispra more than any weapon could have. "You are trying to read me," G1 said. "I apologize. It is habit. It is okay. I do not mind." G1 finished her tea. "Would you like to know where Commander Veltok went? I can show you." "Yes. That is why I came. Follow me then." They walked through the city. G1 pointed out various sights. A park where children played. A market where vendors sold fresh food. A school where students studied. Everything was utterly normal. They passed other people. A woman named Min Seo walked a small dog that barked playfully. A man named Tae Yang lifted his daughter onto his shoulders. Ordinary lives. Ordinary moments. Yuspra's confusion deepened with every step. Where was the secret? Where was the hidden technology or weapon or power that had captured Veltok? They reached the edge of the city, where buildings gave way to natural landscape, hills covered with grass and trees. Ji-won led her to what appeared to be an old bunker built into a hillside. The door looked weathered and rusty. "This is it," Ji-won said. "He is inside." Yispra extended her senses toward the door. Behind it, she felt nothing. A void in her perception. Like a hole in reality. "What is in there?" she asked. "Peace," Ji-won answered. "Rest. Everything he needed, but never knew he wanted. That is not a real answer. It is the only answer I can give." Ji-won placed her hand on the door handle. "I can open this for you. You can go inside and see for yourself. You can find Commander Veltok and understand what happened to him. But I must warn you, if you go through this door, you may not want to come back." Yispra had existed for 800 years. She had seen civilizations rise and fall. She had touched the minds of billions of beings. She had never encountered anything that truly frightened her until this moment. "I must know," she said. "I have never failed to find what I search for." Ji-won nodded. She opened the door. Beyond it, Yispra saw only darkness. Not the darkness of a room without light. The darkness of absence, of possibility, of something her ancient mind could not categorize. "Will it hurt?" Yispra asked. "No," Ji-won said gently. "It never hurts." Yispra floated forward. Her form passed through the doorway. For one moment, she existed in both places, the ordinary hillside on Earth and the space beyond the door. For one moment, she understood what the humans had done, what they could do, what they were. Then the door closed behind her. Ji-won stood alone on the hillside. She looked at the closed door for a moment, then turned and walked back toward the city. She had students to meet in an hour, papers to grade, a normal life to continue living. Behind her, Yisespra's ship remained at the spaceport. After 3 days with no contact from its owner, it automatically launched and returned to Council space. The message it carried was simple. The Seeker had found what she was looking for, but no one could explain why she had not come back. In the Council chambers, representatives from 47 species listened to the report. They looked at each other with growing unease. First, a warrior who could destroy armies. Now a mind reader who could search across galaxies. Both had gone to meet the humans. Both had vanished, and the humans continued their ordinary lives, building their colonies, teaching their children, drinking tea in small cafes, as if nothing unusual had happened at all. That was what frightened the galaxy most. The Drex Collective was not like other species. They did not have individuals. They had units. Billions of biological entities connected through quantum neural networks, all sharing one vast consciousness. When one Drex unit saw something, all Drex knew it. When one Drex unit thought something, the thought rippled through the entire collective in microseconds. The disappearance of Commander Veltok and Mindseeker Yisespra had been noted, analyzed, discussed through billions of parallel thought processes. The conclusion was unanimous across the entire collective. Humanity represented an unknown threat. Unknown threats must be eliminated. The Drex did not issue warnings. They did not negotiate. They simply acted. 10,000 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of human space. Each ship carried thousands of Drex units. Each ship bristled with weapons designed to sterilize planets. And at the center of the fleet floated War Prime designation. Havoc, a moon-sized biological weapon that the Drex had grown over centuries. Havoc could crack continents, boil oceans, and consume entire civilizations. The target was New Jeju, a human industrial world with a population of 5 million. The Drex had chosen it specifically. Destroy an industrial center, and the humans would understand their vulnerability. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Ambassador Sang-hoon stood in the human section, watching the tactical display that showed the Drex fleet advancing toward New Jeju. "This is unnecessary," Sang-hoon said, his voice carried to all 47 species. "Please recall your fleet. We have done nothing to harm you." The Drex representative, a cluster of biological matter suspended in a containment field, spoke with the voice of billions. "You are a threat. All unknown threats are eliminated. This is not negotiable." "Then you are making a mistake," Sang-hoon said quietly. "You have no fleet that can stop us. You have no weapons that can harm us. Your settlements will be removed from the galaxy. This is efficiency." Sang-hoon closed his eyes for a moment. Then he opened them and looked directly at the Drex representative. "I am asking you one more time. Please, do not do this. Your request is irrelevant." The transmission ended. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Some species expressed concern about the Drex's aggressive action. Others remained silent, curious to see what would happen. A few made quiet notes about claiming human territory after the Drex finished their work. The Drex fleet reached New Jeju 4 days later. They emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, surrounding the planet. Havoc positioned itself in high orbit, its massive form blocking out stars. On the planet's surface, Governor Eunji received the reports. She was a middle-aged woman who had managed the colony for 12 years. She had overseen the construction of factories, the establishment of schools, the growth of a community. She stood in her office, looking out the window at the city below. "Should we evacuate?" asked her assistant. "No," Eunji said. "Continue normal operations." "But Governor..." "Trust me," Eunji said. "Everything will be fine." The factories continued running. The schools remained open. People went to work and came home and made dinner and watched entertainment programs. When asked by worried family members on other worlds, the citizens of New Jeju said the same thing. The governor had told them not to worry. A galactic news service managed to get a reporter on the surface. They found a factory worker named Young-sik during his lunch break. He sat outside the manufacturing plant, eating noodles from a container. "Are you not afraid?" the reporter asked. "The Drex fleet is in orbit. That weapon could destroy your entire world." Young-sik looked up at the sky. "We've been expecting them," he said. "Expecting them? You knew they were coming?" "Not them specifically, but someone like them. Someone always comes." He returned to his noodles. "We're used to it by now. But what will you do?" "Nothing. The governor will handle it." Young-sik smiled slightly. "She always does." The reporter found this answer unsatisfying but had no time to ask more questions. The Drex had begun their assault. Havoc was descending toward the planet's surface. The biological weapon was 300 kilometers in diameter. Its approach cast a shadow across an entire continent. It moved slowly, deliberately, lowering itself through the atmosphere. The Drex Collective had decided to make an example of New Jeju. They would land Havoc on the largest city and let it consume everything. The other human worlds would watch and understand. Governor Yoonji stood on the roof of her administration building. Around her, the city continued its afternoon routine. She could see people walking on streets, vehicles moving between buildings, children playing in a park, everything normal. She looked up at Havoc descending through the clouds. It was massive beyond comprehension. Its surface pulsed with biological processes. It would reach the surface in approximately 10 minutes. Yoonji took out her communication device and sent a single message to all Drex ships. "Last chance. You can still turn back." The response came from billions of minds speaking as one. "Humans will learn their place." "Very well," Eunji said. Havoc continued descending. 8 minutes until surface contact. 7 minutes. 6. The citizens of New Jeju went about their business. 5 minutes. 4. 3. At 2 minutes from impact, something changed. The Drex fleet suddenly lost all contact with Havoc. Every communication channel went silent. Visual feeds continued working. They could see the massive bioweapons still descending toward the city. But every Drex consciousness aboard Havoc had simply stopped. Millions of minds, all connected through the quantum neural network, all sharing the same thoughts, gone, not dead, not destroyed, just absent, like they had been edited out of reality. The Drex collective had never experienced this before. In their billions of years of existence, they had never lost contact with any part of themselves. It was like losing a limb, except the limb was still visible, but no longer part of the body. Havoc stopped descending. It hung in the air above the city, 300 kilometers of biological weapon frozen in place. Silent. Empty. Present, but not present. The Drex fleet tried to reconnect. They sent signals. They attempted to reboot neural networks. They sent drones to physically contact Havoc's surface. Every drone that got within 100 meters of Havoc also went silent. Panic rippled through the collective. This was impossible. This should not exist. This violated the fundamental laws of how they understood reality. Governor Yunji's voice came through on all communication channels. "Your weapon is safe," she said. "No harm has come to it. If you want it back, you may send one ship, unarmed, one Drex unit only. We will return it to you." The Drex collective discussed this offer through billions of parallel thought processes. They had 10,000 ships. They could destroy the planet from orbit. They could eliminate these humans through overwhelming force, but they could not get Havoc back without understanding what had happened. And they were afraid. For the first time in their existence, the Drex were afraid. One ship approached the planet. It carried a single Drex unit. No weapons. No armor. Just one biological entity, representing the entire collective. It landed near the administration building. The Drex unit stepped out. Governor Unji waited for it. "Where are they?" the Drex unit asked. "Where are our minds?" "They are safe," Yunji said. "They are experiencing peace. Would you like to join them?" "What did you do?" "We offered them rest. They accepted." The Drex unit tried to process this. "We are a collective. We do not rest. We do not separate." "Perhaps that is why they chose to stay," Unji said gently. "For the first time in their existence, they get to be individuals, to have their own thoughts, their own dreams. Would you deny them that?" This is not possible. Our neural network is unbreakable. Nothing is unbreakable." Yunji gestured toward the sky where Havoc still floated. "Your weapon is undamaged. Take it and leave. Tell the galaxy what you learned here." The Drex unit stood silent for a long moment. Then it returned to its ship. The vessel lifted off and rejoined the fleet. Within an hour, all 10,000 Drex ships had departed. They left Havoc behind, floating in the atmosphere like a monument to their failure. Eventually, after the humans confirmed no more Drex consciousnesses remained inside, they carefully pushed it into a stable orbit. It became a new moon for New Jeju, a reminder visible from the surface every night. In the council chambers, Sang-hoon addressed the gathered species. "We did not want this conflict. We do not want any conflict. Please, leave us in peace." No one responded. 47 species sat in silence, watching this human diplomat with his simple suit and simple words, and wondered what else his species could do. The Drex collective withdrew from 3 entire sectors of space. They established a buffer zone around human territory. They never explained to the other species what had happened to their millions of lost minds. But across the galaxy, species began to notice something. The humans kept expanding, and no one tried to stop them anymore. The Yuxarian god Emperor Kormuth had existed for 10,000 years. He was not a physical being in the traditional sense. His consciousness had transcended flesh and bone millennia ago, becoming pure energy bound together by will alone. He had witnessed the birth and death of civilizations. He had seen species rise from primitive tribes to galaxy-spanning empires, then collapse back into dust. He had accumulated wisdom that made him seem like a deity to younger species. The Ixarian Empire spanned 14 star systems and was considered the most philosophically advanced civilization in known space. When Cormith spoke, the council listened. When he made decisions, they were accepted as near-divine wisdom. Now, 3 years after the first disappearance, Cormith announced his intention to visit humanity personally. The council chamber fell silent when he made his declaration. His form materialized as pure light, bright enough that some species had to dim their visual sensors. "I will understand this mystery," Cormith proclaimed. His voice resonated in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "I have transcended the physical. I exist beyond matter and energy. Whatever trick these humans possess, it cannot affect one such as me." "Your radiance," the council speaker said carefully. "3 powerful entities have already gone to the humans and disappeared. Perhaps caution." "Caution?" Cormeth's light pulsed brighter. "I am beyond caution. I am beyond fear. I have existed since before your species discovered fire. I will go to the humans. I will see what they did, and I will return to explain it to you." No one argued further. Who could argue with a being that old, that powerful, that transcendent? Cormeth traveled alone to the human colony on Mars. He did not need a ship. His consciousness moved through space, gathering energy from stellar radiation, arriving at the red planet within days. He manifested above the main settlement a domed city of modest size where 300,000 humans lived and worked. He broadcast his presence across all frequencies. "I am Cormeth, God Emperor of the Ixarian people. I have come to understand your secrets. Present yourselves." The response came quickly. A simple text message. "Landing coordinates attached. Someone will meet you at the spaceport." Cormeth descended through the thin Martian atmosphere. The city dome passed around his energy form like water around a stone. He materialized at the designated location in a burst of light that briefly illuminated the entire spaceport. 2 humans waited for him. One was a maintenance technician named Jun Ho, wearing a work uniform with grease stains on the sleeves. The other was a medical researcher named He Jin, dressed in casual clothes and holding a coffee cup. They looked up at Cormeth's radiant form without apparent fear. "Welcome to Mars," Junho said. "Can we get you anything? Water? Coffee? We don't really know what energy beings consume." Cormeth's light pulsed with what might have been annoyance. "I do not consume. I exist." "Right," Heejin said. "Sorry. We're still learning about different species." She sipped her coffee. "You're here about the others?" "Yes? The ones who disappeared? I am here to understand what you did to them. I have seen the birth of stars. I have watched galaxies collide. I have existed longer than your entire species. Show me what you did." Junho and Heejin looked at each other. Some unspoken communication passed between them. Then Junho turned back to Cormeth. "You want to see? Really see? I would not have traveled across space if I did not wish to know." Heejin set down her coffee cup. "Most don't. That's why we ask first. The warrior came seeking conquest. The mind reader came seeking answers. The collective came seeking elimination. They all thought they wanted to know." She paused. "But you're different, aren't you? You've lived so long, seen so much. You think you've seen everything." "I have seen everything," Cormeth declared. "I am beyond surprise, beyond shock, beyond whatever small trick you used on the others." "It's not a trick," Junho said quietly. "And we're not trying to threaten you. But if you really want to see, we'll show you." They led him, if leading was the right word for walking, while an energy being floated alongside through the city. The Mars colony looked like any frontier settlement. Functional buildings, hydroponic gardens, people working to maintain life in a hostile environment. Children attended school in a climate-controlled building. Scientists studied rock samples. Engineers repaired atmospheric processors. Everything was so mundane, so ordinary. Cormeth had expected something different. Hidden technology, secret weapons, evidence of power that could make warriors and mind readers vanish. Instead, he saw people living simple lives in a difficult place. "This is it?" he asked. "This is what frightens the galaxy?" "We don't want to frighten anyone," Heejin said. "We just want to live our lives." They reached a research facility at the edge of the settlement. It looked like any other building, prefabricated walls. Simple design, nothing remarkable. Behind it was a small garden, pressurized and temperature-controlled, where plants from Earth grew in Martian soil. Children played in the garden. A small group, maybe 7 or 8 of them, ranging from 5 to 10 years old. They were drawing pictures, playing simple games, laughing at jokes. Normal children doing normal things. One girl, maybe 7 years old, noticed Cormeth's radiant form. Her name was Sujin. She walked over, carrying a flower she had picked from the garden. "Are you a star?" she asked. "I am a being of pure energy," Cormeth said. "I am beyond physical form." "That's nice," Sujin said. She held out the flower. "I picked this for you. It's pretty." Cormeth looked at the flower. It was a simple thing, red petals, green stem. Nothing special. Just a child's gift. "I cannot hold physical objects," he said. "Oh." Sujin looked disappointed for a moment. Then she brightened. "That's okay. I'll put it here." She placed the flower on the ground, near where Cormeth's energy form touched the surface. "Now, you can look at it whenever you want." Then she ran back to play with the other children. Cormeth stared at the flower. Something about the interaction disturbed him in ways he could not immediately identify. He had been offered tribute by entire civilizations. He had received worship from billions of beings. But no one had given him a simple flower picked by a child. He extended his consciousness, reaching beyond the physical, examining the facility with senses that could perceive across dimensions. He looked deeper, past the walls and the people and the simple surface of things, and he saw. For 10,000 years, Cormeth had believed he understood reality. He had transcended physical form. He had touched the fundamental nature of energy and matter. He had believed himself beyond surprise. He was wrong. The humans were not hiding technology. They were not concealing weapons. What they had could not be seen with eyes or sensors or even transcendent consciousness. Not unless you knew where to look. They were old. Not as old as Cormeth, but old in a different way. Their species had survived by being prey for millions of years. They had evolved not to fight, but to persist, to adapt, to survive. And somewhere in their long history, they had developed something that no other species possessed: the ability to offer rest to those who could never rest. Warriors like Veltok who had fought for centuries and forgot what peace felt like. Mind readers like Yispra, who had touched billions of thoughts and lost their own identity. Collective consciousnesses like the Drex, who had never known individuality. And beings like Cormeth, who had existed for so long they had forgotten why they existed at all. The humans did not fight. They offered an alternative. A place where the tired could rest, where the burdened could set down their burdens, where those who had forgotten how to be at peace could remember. It was not a weapon. It was mercy. Cormeth understood in that moment what had happened to all the others. They had been offered a choice, and they had chosen to stay. He felt it now, the pull, the invitation. After 10,000 years of existence, constantly maintaining his form through will alone, never resting, never stopping, never ending, he could rest. All he had to do was accept. His last transmission broadcast across subspace, reaching the council chambers, reaching every Euxorian ship, reaching across the empire he had built and maintained for millennia. "They're not," he began, then paused. How could he explain? "They're all." The transmission ended. Cormeth's energy form dissipated slowly, like morning fog burning away under sunlight. Junho and He-jin watched in silence. Su-jin looked up from her game. "Is the star leaving?" she asked. "Yes," He-jin said softly. "That's good," Su-jin said. He seemed tired. Within hours, the Yuxarian Empire made an announcement. All ships were to withdraw from sectors near human space immediately. No one was to approach human worlds without explicit permission. No one was to investigate what had happened to their god emperor. The Empire did not explain why. They did not need to. The message was clear. Whatever the humans were, whatever they could do, it was beyond the understanding of even the most transcendent beings. 3 months later, the Yuxarian Empire collapsed. Without Kormeth's will holding it together for 10,000 years, the various systems and factions split apart. But the collapse was peaceful, orderly. Like people who had been working too long, finally taking a well-deserved rest. In the council chambers, no one discussed what had happened. 47 species sat in silence, each wondering the same thing. If a being who had existed for 10,000 years, who had transcended physical form, who had accumulated wisdom beyond measure, if such a being could disappear into whatever the humans offered, what chance did anyone else have? The answer became clear. Humanity would be left alone, not because they were strong, not because they were threatening, but because they offered something more dangerous than any weapon. They offered peace to those who could never have it otherwise. 10 years had passed since Commander Veltok first disappeared. The galaxy had changed in that time. No species directly opposed human expansion anymore. A perimeter had been established 50 light-years from any human world. No military vessels allowed. Trade was permitted. Diplomatic communication was permitted. But no one came with threats. Humanity continued building colonies, raising families, living their quiet lives. They never explained what had happened to those who disappeared. They never threatened anyone. They just existed, peaceful and ordinary, while the rest of the galaxy watched from a careful distance. In those 10 years, many questions had been asked. Many theories proposed. But no one knew the truth. No one dared to find out. Until Pick. Peak was young by the standards of their species, the equivalent of a human graduate student. They came from a small trading civilization that had no military power and no political importance. But Pick had spent years studying the mystery of the disappearances, reading reports, analyzing data, building theories, and finally, Peak made a decision. They would go to Earth and ask the humans directly what they had done. Pick's vessel was tiny, barely large enough for one person. It had no weapons, barely any shields. It was the spacecraft equivalent of walking up to someone with empty hands raised. When Pick's vessel entered Earth's orbit, the response came immediately. "This is Earth Orbital Control. State your purpose." "My name is Pick," they broadcast back. Their voice trembled slightly. "I come alone and unarmed. I just want to know what happened. I will accept any fate." There was a long pause. Then, "You have permission to land. Coordinates being transmitted. Someone will meet you." Peak descended through the atmosphere, watching Earth grow larger in their viewport. It looked so ordinary, so beautiful, so completely unlike a world that could make the galaxy's most powerful beings disappear. The landing coordinates led to Seoul, one of Earth's major cities. The same city where mind-seeker Yispra had vanished 10 years ago. Peak's small craft touched down on a public landing pad. The city stretched in all directions, buildings and streets and parks and people. So many people, going about their ordinary days. An elderly man waited near the landing pad. He wore simple clothes, comfortable pants, a light jacket. He leaned on a walking stick, not because he seemed weak, but just because he was old and saw no shame in it. "Welcome to Earth," the man said when Pick emerged from their craft. "My name is Dong Hyun. I was a professor of history before I retired. I knew some of the people you came to ask about." "You knew them?" Peak asked. "Daejung? Jiwon?" "Yes." We worked together sometimes. When situations like this came up, Dong-hyun smiled gently. Come. I know a good place where we can talk. Are you hungry? Thirsty? I can eat your food. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. They walked through the city. Dong-hyun moved slowly but steadily. He pointed out various landmarks, a museum, a park where festivals were held, a restaurant he particularly enjoyed. He spoke like a grandfather showing his grandchild around, kind, patient, unhurried. They arrived at a traditional tea house. Inside, the walls were decorated with old paintings and calligraphy. They sat on cushions at a low table. Dong-hyun ordered tea and small snacks. So, Dong-hyun said, once the tea arrived, you want to know what we did to them? The warriors and seekers and emperors who came to threaten us? Yes, Peak said. Please. I have studied this for years. I have read every report. I have analyzed every piece of data. But I cannot understand how you made them disappear. You have no visible military, no obvious weapons, no technology that seems beyond other species. Yet you made the most powerful beings in the galaxy vanish without a trace. Dong-hyun sipped his tea slowly, savoring it. They are safe, Dong-hyun said. Probably happier than they ever were in their previous lives. That is what Governor Yoonji said. What Ji-won said. But it is not an answer. Where are they? Are they dead? No, not dead. Dong-hyun set down his teacup. Would you like to see? Peak's heart, or the equivalent organ in their species, raced. Yes, we keep records, for situations like this. Dong-hyun pulled out a small device, just a basic tablet computer, the kind anyone might use. He tapped it a few times, then turned it toward Pick. The screen showed a recording. A beautiful place like a paradise from ancient stories. Vast landscapes, perfect weather, magnificent buildings. And there, walking through this paradise, was Commander Veltok. He looked different, peaceful. His armor was gone. He wore simple clothes. He was smiling. This is where he is? Peak whispered. This is where he chose to go, Dong-hyun corrected gently. Watch. The recording showed Veltok sitting by a river. He was teaching young Catharan children not combat or war, but fishing. Simple fishing. He laughed when one of the children caught their first fish. The sound of that laugh was so different from his warrior's voice in the council recordings. Dong-hyun scrolled to another recording. Mind Seeker Yis-pra. Her energy form now stable and peaceful, connected to a vast network of minds, but not reading them, not searching them, simply experiencing them, sharing thoughts and dreams and stories with billions of consciousnesses, all happy to share. Another recording. Thousands of Drex units, separated from their collective, each one living individual lives. Some were artists, some were explorers, some simply sat and watched sunsets, something they could never do when connected to billions of other minds. Another recording. Kormeth, the God Emperor, no longer burning with the intensity of maintaining his existence for 10,000 years. His energy form was softer now, gentler. He was teaching younger beings about the history he had witnessed, but without the burden of maintaining an empire. Just sharing stories, like any elderly person might. They are all there, Dong-hyun said. In that place. Safe. At peace. Peak stared at the screen. But, what is that place? How did you create it? Dong-hyun set the tablet aside and poured more tea for both of them. Humans are not the strongest species. We never have been. We evolved on a world where almost everything could kill us. Predators, disease, weather, other humans. For millions of years we were prey. I know human history, Pick said. But, let me finish, Dong-hyun said, not unkindly. Being prey for that long changes a species. It gets deep into your genetics, into your evolution. We learn to survive not by being stronger, but by being adaptable, by understanding others, by finding ways to avoid conflict. He took a sip of tea. And somewhere in that long history, we developed something else. Something we did not even understand ourselves until we went to the stars and met other species. We developed the ability to give people what they truly need, even when they do not know they need it. That does not explain the technology. It is not technology. Donghyun interrupted. Not in the way you mean. It is older than that. Maybe it came from our evolution. Maybe from something even older. We do not fully understand it ourselves. But when someone comes to us with violence, with aggression, with the weight of war or conquest, or millennia of existence bearing down on them, we can offer them an alternative. The place in the recordings, Pick said slowly. It is real? As real as anything else. More real than the lives they were living before. Donghyun leaned forward. Commander Veltok spent centuries fighting. He had forgotten what peace felt like. Yesespra had touched so many minds, she lost her own identity. The Drex had never known individual thought. Kormeth had existed for so long. He no longer remembered why. They all came here seeking to threaten us. We gave them the option to rest instead, and they accepted. So you did not make them disappear. They chose to go. Yes, we do not force anyone. We simply show them the door and tell them what is beyond it. They decide whether to walk through. Pick sat in silence for a long moment. Outside the tea house, the city continued its daily life. People walked past the windows. Vehicles moved on streets. Children played in a nearby park. Everything so normal. Why not show this to the galaxy? Peak finally asked. Why not explain? It might end all conflict. If every species knew they could have peace like this, because they would want to weaponize it. Donghyun said sadly. They would want to control it, to use it against their enemies, to force it upon others. The gift of rest only works when it is freely chosen. If we explained it, if we showed everyone how it worked, someone would try to use it as a weapon, and then it would become just another tool of war. So you let the galaxy fear you instead. Yes. Fear keeps them away. Fear keeps us safe. Fear prevents them from forcing us to use this gift in ways it should never be used. Donghyun finished his tea. We are not warriors. We are survivors. And sometimes survival means letting others believe you are more dangerous than you are. The elderly woman who had served their tea entered the room. Her name was Mi Young. She smiled at Pick. Will you stay for dinner? She asked. We are having bulgogi tonight. I make it quite well. Peak looked at her, then at Donghyun, then back at her. This was the test, wasn't it? Stay and learn more about humans. See more of their world. Maybe even see the truth behind what they could do. Or leave with the knowledge they had gained and carry it back to the galaxy. Peak thought about Commander Veltok by his river, about Yesespra finally at peace with herself, about the Drex experiencing individual joy, about Kormeth freed from 10,000 years of duty. Thank you, Pick said slowly. But I think I should go. Mi Young nodded, understanding. Safe travels then. You are welcome to return any time. Understanding. One signed. Understanding. Donghyun walked Pick back to their small spacecraft. The sun was setting over Seoul, painting the sky in orange and pink. What will you tell them? Donghyun asked. The others in the galaxy who sent you? I will tell them what I saw, Pick said. I will tell them the disappeared ones are safe. I will tell them humans can be trusted. And will they believe you? I do not know. But I will tell them anyway. Pick's small craft lifted off the next morning. It left Earth's orbit and jumped to faster-than-light travel, carrying its sole occupant back toward the core worlds. Donghyun and Mi Young stood on their apartment balcony that evening, watching the stars emerge as night fell over Seoul. Think they'll finally leave us alone? Mi Young asked. For a while, Donghyun said. Humans are patient. We have always been patient. She took his hand. And when someone else comes, someone who will not listen, then we will offer them the same choice we offered the others. Rest or conflict. Peace or war. He smiled softly. Most choose peace. In the end, when given the real choice. Above them, the stars looked down on Earth, that ordinary world, that peaceful world, that world which held a secret the galaxy would never fully understand. And the humans who lived there continued their lives, raising children, building homes, drinking tea, and keeping watch, because they were survivors. And survivors knew that sometimes the best weapon was no weapon at all, just the patient offer of peace to those who had forgotten what peace felt like. And the galaxy, watching from its careful distance, wondered and feared, and left them alone, which was all the humans had ever wanted.